Good morning, Year 4, and welcome to your writing for this week. So this week, your writing task as animal rights activists is to become Ivan and write about a day in the life of Ivan. I'd like you to imagine that you are Ivan, stuck in your domain with those concrete walls and that glass wall looking out onto the mall. This is a still from the video of the real Ivan, so it's clear here to see what his domain looks like, just to give you an idea if you want to describe any aspects of it. You can also use the paragraph that you did in reading yesterday with Mrs. Donnelly, and also if you've been listening to the story with me last week and Mrs. Donnelly this week, it will give you some really good clues about the kind of things that you could write about. What I'd like you to think about is what it is like for Ivan in the morning, through the day, and at night. So you're going to write throughout the day. Like I said, you are Ivan. You're going to use your senses to write about a typical day for you. Here is a success criteria. Now, this is to give you some ideas of some of the things that you can include in your writing to make it a successful piece of writing. We're going to start with adverbs of time because they really help to move the action on. So you're going to have an adverb of time to introduce your first paragraph, which is about the morning. Then an adverb of time to move the action on to the daytime, which will be paragraph 2. And then finally, an adverb of time to move the action on to the evening time, which will be paragraph 3. So here, I've got the adverb of time this morning. Don't forget you need your comma when you open with an adverb of time. This morning, comma, I woke to the sound of shoes squeaking across the freshly polished floor of the mall. If you can add a short sentence into your paragraph somewhere, it doesn't have to be in each paragraph, but if you can use one, they really show action. So it could be bang. Now that might be something dropping. It might be a door slamming. It might be somebody banging their fist against the glass, or it might be you as Ivan banging your fist against the glass. Expanded noun phrases. Now we often have opportunities to use these. This is where you can really give depth and interest to your writing. So rather than saying, I can see candy floss, you can talk about the pink billowing candy floss. Pink gives you the idea of the colour and billowing is like a cloud. So you can imagine if there's a sweaty little kid standing with pink billowing candy floss, it really helps the reader to imagine what that looks like for Ivan. I'd like you to have a go at using some adverbs of manner for impact. So my sentence here, slowly, is my adverb of manner because it's saying how I rose up. Slowly, I rose up to my full height and slammed my hand against the glass. If I just wrote, I rose up to my full height and slammed my hand against the glass, that sentence would be fine. But opening with slowly gives you more of an idea, it's more impact. You know that the action is slow of the rising up to full height. That shows tension building, and then slammed my hand against the glass. Then I'd like you to think about your senses. So as Ivan, think about the things that you will see. Here's my example. The red sweaty boy pushed his sticky fingerprints on the glass over and over again. So the things there as Ivan that I can see are the red sweaty boy and his sticky fingerprints on the glass. Next, I'd like you to think about what you can hear as Ivan. Here's my sentence. The next thing I knew, the rumble of the doors signalled the opening of the mall to the wild human masses. The thing there that I can hear as Ivan is the rumbling of the doors. Next, something that Ivan can taste. Now, in each paragraph, you might not be able to get this in, but in one of the paragraphs, you'll be able to get some sort of taste in. Here's my sentence. I couldn't help but think that today was a pretty good day as I picked up a toffee wrapper which had been poked through the hole in the glass and popped it into my mouth. Delicious. There you go. The thing there that I can taste is, as Ivan, is the toffee wrapper, which has been poked through that hole in the glass. Next, something that you as Ivan can touch. Here's my sentence. After my lunchtime nap, I opened one eye to see Bob resting on my tummy. I tickled him behind his soft furry ear, much to his enjoyment. The thing there, as Ivan, that I can touch is the soft furry ear of Bob. The final sense that I'd like you to think about is how Ivan feels. So this is emotion. Mac closed the door. The lights clicked off and all was quiet again. Now, all I can do is sit with my thoughts until the start of a new day. I'm alone again. So how does Ivan feel? He feels alone again. The success criteria is there to help you. There is a copy if you would like to print it off on the website. There's also a blank success criteria grid if you would like to fill in one yourself, but you do not have to. It's just there if you would like to. The next thing is planning your writing. So on the website, this plan is there. There's also a blank plan if you would like to plan out your writing. If you would like to, you can use my plan for your paragraphs, or you can use part of my plan and part of your own ideas. We're going to just concentrate now on the morning paragraph, paragraph 1. So I'm beginning this with an adverb of time. As the early morning sun streamed through the gaps in the decrepit roof of my domain, I opened my eyes to the familiar sight of my bare domain. That helps to introduce the writing, and it tells me when it's happening, early morning. And we know it's the early morning because it's the early morning sun which is streaming through the gaps in the roof. The decrepit roof gives the impression that the roof is not whole, that there's maybe gaps in it and there's pieces of it missing. And Ivan is opening his eyes to the familiar sight, so the same sight that he sees every day of the bare domain, the domain that has nothing in it. I've then gone on to give some ideas of some of the things that Ivan would be able to see, hear, touch and taste. So some of the things that I think in the morning Ivan would be able to see would be his tyre swing, the peeling murals, the paint that's peeling off on the domain wall. So that's quite early on in the book where he talks about a waterfall that's been painted and a jungle scene that's painted onto his wall, but it's peeling off. Another thing he'll be able to see is the empty mall. He might be able to see the doors opening, and he might be able to see Mac walking along the polished floor, and that's where he can maybe hear the squeaking of the shoes. Next, hearing. The cleaners in the mall, maybe they're whistling while they're cleaning. Maybe he can hear the hoovers or the mop, or maybe the brush going back and forth. He might be able to hear the doors opening. The other animals waking up, maybe he can hear Stella. Another thing he could hear would maybe be Bob sniffing around for food. As we know, Bob likes to be looking for food pretty much all of the time. What would Ivan be able to touch in the morning? Well, the cold concrete floor. It's been night time, so the temperature drops, so the concrete floor will be cold. Maybe the smooth glass of the domain. Maybe the frayed rope of the tyre swing. Taste. The fresh breakfast bananas, including the skins. And an example of a noun phrase there is the smooth, cold glass. I have given examples for paragraph 2, which is about the daytime, and paragraph 3, which is about the evening. And I've given some ideas there about how busy the daytime will be with music going on, seeing humans scurrying around, rushing, bright lights, machines, that kind of thing that would be really busy during the day. And the evening, I'm talking about how it starts to be quiet. So maybe people leaving, footsteps echoing in the now empty mall, the rubbish that's left out, strewn across the floor, spilling out of the dustbins. So there's some ideas there. When you write, you do not have to write in one go today. It might be that you think, oh, today I'm just going to do paragraph 1. Wednesday, paragraph 2. Thursday, paragraph 3. And then I'm going to edit it, get my grown-up to help me to edit it. And if you would like to publish, there is some publishing paper on the website for you to use. Any writing that you do, we would love to see it. And we'll give you some tips and some ideas on how to improve it as well. I've got an example here of my first paragraph, and I have used pretty much all of my plan here. I'll read it to you first, and then we'll pick out the success criteria and the things that I've included. As the early morning sun streamed through the gaps in the decrepit roof of my domain, I opened my eyes to the familiar sight of my bare domain. Washed out pastel paint still peels from the tumbling waterfall, which trickles down the jungle scene on my domain wall. My tire swing moved gently from side to side as a placid morning breeze blows through the gap in the corner of the splintered glass. A creak fills the air as the mall door opens and shoes squeak across the freshly polished floor of the mall as Mac moves towards me. He nods his head at me and then disappears into his domain. By my feet, Bob sniffs the cold concrete domain floor in search of tasty morsels left from the day before. However, with nothing to find, he heads off into the awakening mall. Mac appears again at the smooth, clean glass with hands full of my breakfast bananas. Greedily, I tuck in, waiting for the first human visitors to appear and entertain me for the day. So I just want you to have a quick look here at what I have included as part of my success criteria. So I wanted to look out for adverbs of time, maybe a short sentence, expanded noun phrases, an adverb of manner, and using my senses to help me describe in my sentences. Okay. So here, as the early morning sun streamed through the gaps in the decrepit roof of my domain, that is my adverb of time. So my fronted adverbial, and I've got my comma there. I opened my eyes to the familiar sight of my bare domain, so I can see the bare domain. Washed out pastel paint still peels from the tumbling waterfall. So again, that's something that I can see. And I have used an expanded noun phrase there. So washed out pastel paint, not just paint still peels, but washed out pastel paint. My tire swing moves gently from side to side. So again, that's something else there that I can see. My tire swing moving from side to side. And gently is my adverb of manner. That explains how it's moving from side to side. A creak fills the air. That's your sound, the thing that you can hear. As the mall door opens, that's something that you can see. And shoes squeak across the freshly polished floor. So there, that's the shoes making the sound. He nods his head at me and then disappears into his domain. By my feet, Bob sniffs the cold concrete domain floor. So Bob is sniffing the cold floor. That's an action. That's what he's doing. That's what you can see. You can imagine that's hearing as well, what you can hear. And the cold concrete domain floor. It's not just the domain floor, but it's cold and concrete. It gives an idea of how harsh it is. In search of tasty morsels left from the day before. However, with nothing to find, he heads off into the awakening mall. Mac appears again at the smooth, clean glass. There we go. So here we've got another expanded noun phrase. With handfuls of my breakfast bananas, greedily. So that's how I do it. So that's my adverb of manner. I tuck in. So this is where we've got tasting, waiting for the first human visitors to appear and entertain me for the day. So if I quickly go back to my success criteria, I definitely had an adverb of time. I didn't have a short sentence to show action, but maybe in my next paragraph, that's where I'd include it. I had plenty of expanded noun phrases. Did have a couple of adverbs of manner, greedily. I definitely had things that I could see as Ivan, that I could hear, that I didn't have, that I could taste. I had the bananas. And did I have something that I could touch? Let me have a look. No, I don't think I had that. So that's maybe something that I could include in my next paragraph. And did I have something that I felt? Let me have a look. So as Ivan, did we get the idea of how Ivan feels? Well, yeah, he's looking forward to the human visitors coming to entertain him. So that's how he's feeling. Okay. As I said, on the website, there are examples of these. This example paragraph is there too. If you'd like to use any of my ideas, go for it, but try and make it your own as well. When you've done your writing, make sure you email it to your teacher, or you can tweet it and we'll have a look at it, and we'll really look forward to reading your pieces of writing about a day in the life of Ivan.